Hey Nomadic Fanatic, Eric here. Today I'm going to talk to you about some very specific tips for boondocking and urban camping in your RV or van. These are tips that I feel like a lot of us would not normally think about, and they would be overlooked, and they are very important things. So if you're a boondocker or thinking about living in an urban area in your RV, pay attention. So let's talk about getting gas in your RV or van. What I like to do is walk around the individual islands, and I'm actually going to look on the ground about a foot up from all the islands, and I'm going to actually look for a threaded hose spigot, and I'm going to test that and see if there's actually water in that. This doesn't happen often. It's less than half of the gas stations have these. I'm not even sure why they have them, but I always keep my 6-foot hose meant for drinking water, and I like to fill up my freshwater drinking tank at that time while getting gas, because when you're on the road, there aren't very many other places to get free water. Truck stops are a good place. Rest stops on the freeway are a good place, but you're already getting gas. You might as well top off your tank, right? Even if you know the tank is 3/4 full of water already, still top it off, because that 1/4 tank of fresh water may be all the difference at the tail end of your next boondocking trip. It could make all the difference. It could give you 2 or 3 extra days out there where you're at before you have to fill up. So I always top off those, as well as topping off my propane tanks and emptying the holding tanks every chance I get as well. So when you're getting ready to park, whether you're in a Walmart parking lot or you're on the side of the street downtown, you're slowing down, you're looking out the windows, like, oh, this is a great spot. That's a great time to check for your RV to be level. Now, as you may know, a lot of RVs and trailers have levelers, have level indicators outside their RV, on the side by the door or on the back, in areas where you can check the, being level in different areas. It's really not very useful when you're by yourself, though. So what I did was I got these cheap little $1 levelers, and I installed them up in the cab area. I put one above the driver's window, and then I put one above the visor on the other side. That way all I got to do is lift the visor and look up and check these 2 areas, and as long as those are level, I know the rest of my RV is probably pretty close to level. So it just reduces an extra step of having to park the RV and then go look, and then have to start the RV up and move somewhere else. Or worst case scenario, let's say you didn't actually check that when you got there, and 4 hours later, you come into your fridge and it's 20 degrees warmer because you weren't level enough. So it's a precaution I like to take, and it's an easy step to take, and you might as well just do it before you park, before you get comfortable, right? Also, before parking downtown in front of businesses, make sure you look at the parking restriction signs that are on each block. And that's important to do in many cities, because parking restrictions can change drastically just within one block. Some of those signs might not be right outside your RV. It may be at the very end of the block, or you may have missed it at the very beginning of the block because there was a big delivery truck blocking it or something. But be aware. I mean, I've seen all sorts of crazy signs. Like there's some that say, no parking between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. or between 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. It's just really vague and really weird. But most of the time it's going to say, free parking, or, there's going to have a limit. You can only park there for 2 hours, or then you have to pay to park between Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. So as long as you get there like at 5 o'clock on Friday and you're thinking about staying for 3 days, put a couple coins in the machine and make it good to get you through 5 o'clock. And then you can stay there until Monday morning at 8 and either leave or put more money in the machine. Also, check the business hours. Those can vary from day to day as well. Some stores, some restaurants may close at 5 p.m. on a Thursday, and then one day later on a Friday, they don't close till 10 p.m. So be aware of those hours and factor that into your stay. Also understand that if it's a coffee shop or a donut shop or something, it's going to be open a lot earlier in the morning. So you're going to have employees starting to show up at 4 or 5 a.m. and they're going to be emptying their dumpsters, and customers are going to start coming in a lot earlier. So based on when you want to be awake in the morning and how late you want to be up at night, or how early you want to go to bed at night, factor that into the store hours of the businesses that are nearby. And then this is another tip directly from the mind of Nomadic Fanatic. I'm pretty sure that nobody watching this video ever checks for this type of stuff, but I find it incredibly important in my life. And that is, along with checking the levels when you're getting ready to park, to make sure you're actually level, I also look at my compass. My compass is very important. It serves a very important purpose because I like to be aware of the fact that, okay, the sun sets in the west, the sun rises in the east. So knowing this information, I can actually manipulate how that sun is going to be shown through my RV at certain times. If I have the west over here and that sun's going to come down, I could use it to my advantage if I wanted to have more light in here to be able to do certain activities. Or maybe I don't want the light in my eye at night, so I would flip it around. Also in the morning when I wake up, well, let's say I want to wake up early in the morning. Well, if I have my bed and cab over area facing the east, I know that the sun's going to rise up. It's going to be really bright in that area. It's also going to get warmer a lot quicker on that end of the RV, so that's going to wake me up. But, knowing that information, I can also manipulate it. And let's say I wanted to sleep until 10, we'll flip it around so that the bathroom would get sun first and it would take longer for the light to get over here and to heat up this half of it. So also, once you're getting ready to park on a specific city side street, in the daytime you're not going to notice this, but there's going to be lamps out there and they're going to be bright at night when it gets dark. So understand how close you are to those. The most common lamps are the ones that go up and then over the sidewalk and the street and then light up like this. But I've been noticing a lot more urban areas are having the ones that also have the second bulb somewhere in the middle of the lamp, about 6 feet off the ground, which would basically put it like right here outside my window, this bright, huge globe. You're not going to notice that in the daytime, but at night when all the other lights are off and then this thing is like a heat lamp right into your RV. But again, maybe that was something that you planned. Maybe you don't want to use your RV lights after 10 p.m. and you want to read your book. So you want to sit back and use the light that's coming in as a free light to do stuff in your RV. Or maybe you just want to sleep and you don't want that light in here at all. So you want to move down, 20 feet farther down so that you're away from that really bright light. And then along with those street lamps, also look at the actual business lights. A lot of businesses will have lights that come on after they close or after it gets dark. The facade that comes out over the sidewalk may have a whole bunch of fluorescent lights right there that pop on automatically, and maybe they stay on. A lot of restaurants also have bright neon lights that they either forget to turn off when they close or they just on purpose leave them on, and those are going to be blaring inside your RV too. So be mindful of that. These are things that you're not going to notice in the daytime. You're going to be so happy and be looking around at all the other stuff going on that you're not going to think about how's this going to affect me once I try to go to bed. And now for the most important thing to keep an eye on when you're boondocking or urban camping. And again, this is me. This is Nomadic Fanatic telling you, nobody else, because I'm pretty sure nobody out there is going to tell you to do this. And it's so flippin' important. You need to get out of your RV and you need to walk around the perimeter of your RV several times a day or once every couple hours. The purpose of this is to find out if you have any notices on your window. The notices could be handwritten from a resident across the street or something that said, hey, I think you're living in your RV. I think you should move this or I'm going to call the cops. Or it could be a more formal letter that was pre-written up and ready to hand out from a business that says, hey, you're in violation of this code. You can't park in front of my business or I'm going to call the police. Or it could be a letter from the police department or parking enforcement itself, and it could be much more important, and it could say, you need to move your RV within a certain amount of hours, 8 hours, 24 hours, otherwise you'll get towed. Well, you want to know about those notices as fast as possible, right? Being in here, you're not seeing those. You need to go outside and make sure that those notices haven't been put on certain windows. And also look on the ground, physically look on the ground and make sure that something didn't, the wind didn't blow it off of your door. Or if you go walk to the store and then you're coming back to your RV, well, don't just walk right to your door and then go in your RV. When you get to your RV, walk all the way around your RV and check for signs and notices on your RV. There's several other places on your RV that you could also get notices that you'll want to look, besides just the actual driver's window and passenger window. I've seen them try to tuck them in between the jamb of the actual door, and I've seen them, on the ground because that didn't hold very well. I've seen them under the windshield wipers. I've also seen in some cities they're starting to put these little yellow and white striped stickers on the top of your antenna. And I'm pretty sure that that's an indication for the tow trucks to tow you. So that's like, you've already missed the notices, and that's like a last resort. Now you're getting towed the first tow truck that sees that. And you're not going to see that from inside here. You know, I can't see the actual antenna from here, no matter where I get to. That would be something that you would have to be outside your RV and notice. Another big one is the very back of your RV or van. Look for an orange check mark with a date on it or something like that. That's also really, really bad news, and you obviously wouldn't know about that unless you physically were back there outside your RV and looking at that. So I can't stress the fact enough that you really need to monitor the exterior of your RV for those notices and understand them. And the last type of thing you'll want to notice is look at the bottom of all of your tires for chalk. Now, we could get into a debate on what the chalk actually means, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm just going to explain to you what to understand from the chalk. If there's chalk on your tires and you're not in an area that has a specific parking restriction, like you can only be here 2 hours, if you're in a spot where it doesn't have any parking restrictions and there's chalk on your tires, the only thing you need to understand is someone is now monitoring your activity. Somebody is checking on you. Ultimately, what this means is that a resident or a business, somebody has snitched on you. Somebody is onto you. Someone doesn't like you there. And somebody else had to come and check on you. What probably happened was it was parking, and they're like, okay, well, is this car or is this RV breaking the rule of being in one spot for more than 72 hours? So they'll chalk your tire and then come back and look for it. Now, the only thing that I gather from the chalk is that somebody doesn't like me here, okay? So I need to move. I'm sure there's lots of people watching this video right now who are like, oh no, I'm gonna fight this. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not, I have the right to park my RV right here, so I'm gonna fight this. I'm gonna rinse off the chalk. I'm gonna wipe off the chalk, or I'm gonna drive forward a couple feet and move it so you can't see the chalk line anymore. And we're gonna play this game of cat and mouse and I have a right to fight this. I'm in America. If that's you, great. I'm not, endorsing that or anything. That's just not me. I don't feel the need to fight, and go on strike and activism and all that crazy stuff that my school teaches. It's just too much effort, and I'm really not into it. So if that's you, fine. This is just Nomadic Fanatic giving you some what I call realistic tips. So in my case, what that means is, okay, look, somebody doesn't want me here. I don't want people watching me and monitoring my activities, so I'm going to leave. I'm just going to find somewhere else. I'm just going to park somewhere different. And I'm going to keep my eye on the exterior and look and see if I get chalked in another area. And lastly, I want to go back to the actual notices on the window. Specifically, I want to talk about the ones that have come from police officers. Now, in the 2 months that I've been filming for this channel, I have not gotten one. But last summer, I got several of them because I was parked for, longer than 24 hours. That's my fault. I couldn't afford the gas to move. So, but what the police officers oftentimes in these cities will do is they'll leave their business card under your windshield wiper, and it'll say police officer so-and-so and all his information on the back. It'll either say, call me at this number and extension, or it'll say call dispatch with this reference number. And I understand a lot of people are going to be like, ooh, crap, and they'll rip it up and throw it in the garbage and just leave. Or, they'll rip it up and say, fuck you, I can do whatever I want. I ain't going to call you. Here's what I do, though. I call every time. Every time I got one of those notices, I called and made contact with the officer, because I want to build this rapport, and basically I want to get on the good side and understand and have them understand that I'm not here to break the rules or draw any extra attention to myself, but I want to find out what's going on. So I ask, why did you put that business card on my window? And then the officer is going to fish a little bit and try to get you to say that you're living in your RV, which technically in many cities, living in your RV is against the law. So you say, no, I'm living out of my RV. The RV contains everything that I own, all my clothes and everything, and I'm living out of it. But I do have a right to park my RV, right? And then hop on the bus and go to school or go to work or walk down and go grocery shopping. I still have to have a place to park my RV while I'm doing those activities, right? And then once you get to that point in the conversation, the officer is going to be like, okay, this guy understands the law. He's not really doing anything wrong. And I'm probably never going to be able to prove the fact that he's living in his RV. There's just no way I'll ever get that proof. So at that point, 75% of the time or more, I'm dead serious. What happens in the conversation is the police officer is very honest with you, and he will tell you, look, there's a neighbor across the street in a specific house who called the police, and dispatch made me come out here and investigate someone possibly living in their motorhome. So that's why I'm out here. I just want you to know. Or they'll say the business that sells bread nearby doesn't like you here, and they have called several times today already, telling the city that we're supposed to tow you because you're living in your RV. Here's my advice to you, sir. Since there are people snitching you off and nobody can prove anything, is it possible that you could just move to a different location and then avoid these calls that we're getting about you? Oh, of course. Yeah, that would be no problem. I'll just move to a different spot. I don't fight it. And again, I know people are watching this and they'll be like, no, I'm going to fight it because I haven't done anything wrong and it's my right to do what I want. So do that if you want to. This is advice from Eric, Nomadic Fanatic. And I thank him and I say, thank you for being honest, and I'll move to another spot and that's no problem, and I move on. And then I don't have this hate, I don't have this anger buildup that everybody else has. I don't get on Facebook and start ranting or make a video that says, fuck the police, fuck these businesses and residents that tell me I can't park, and blah, blah, blah. I have a different attitude about it. So, and I think that makes me a happier person. In the end. So yeah, these are all tips from me, Eric, Nomadic Fanatic, about boondocking and urban camping. I think that they are tips and steps that nobody I know is taking. I think many of you should start incorporating these if you do what I do, or let me know your feelings on certain stuff, if it works for you, or if you've tried it out, or if you have other ideas or other versions of what I've talked about. So yeah, this is Eric, Nomadic Fanatic. I'll talk to you guys later.